Welcome to your deep dive.
Yeah.
This time, we're going to be cracking open the science of metabolic health.
Okay.
Or, as one of our sources so aptly puts it, good energy. You gave us some really interesting stuff to work with for this deep dive,
I did.
including Pieces of Good Energy by Dr. Casey Means and Callie Means.
Right.
Plus chapters from The Social Animal by David Brooks. So we're going to be weaving those together to try to pull out the most useful bits for you, the listener.
It's fascinating, isn't it? You've got these two sources that, on the surface, seem totally different.
Right.
But they actually meet on this really crucial point, the link between our physical health and mental well-being, something people often overlook.
Yeah, totally. It's like this invisible network controlling everything. Our mood, how prone we are to chronic diseases, the whole shebang.
It really is.
You ready for a crazy stat?
Hit me.
You, dear listener, statistically have a 93% chance of being among the U.S. adults with some level of metabolic dysfunction.
Wow.
Bet you weren't expecting that, huh?
It is a bit of a shocker. But as we go deeper, you'll see how this dysfunction isn't some silent, invisible thing. It shows up in everyday symptoms we often brush off as, oh, I'm just getting older, or this is just how it is. But the good news is, once you get this connection, you can start making choices that actually improve your health.
Okay, so let's unpack this whole good energy versus bad energy thing. Dr. Means makes it super clear it's not just about feeling peppy or whatever. It's about how well our cells are actually doing their jobs down at the microscopic level.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between good energy and bad energy from like a cellular perspective?
It's all about how well your cells are creating and using energy.
Okay.
Good energy means things are running smoothly. Imagine your cells are like tiny cities.
Yeah.
Right? Everything's powered up. The transportation systems are moving things around efficiently.
All right.
And the waste management is on point.
Yeah.
That's how your body functions at its best. But bad energy is like a citywide power outage. Things start to break down, communication gets messed up, and you're just left feeling sluggish and out of whack.
Ah, so like a city that runs on coal versus one powered by solar. One's, chugging along.
Right.
But the other's got that clean, sustainable energy.
Exactly.
And in good energy, Dr. Means tells the story about Sophia, a patient who is dealing with all sorts of problems. Sinus infections, high blood pressure. Her blood sugar was all over the place.
Oh, wow.
But doctors kept treating them as separate issues,
Sophia's story is a classic example of how conventional medicine can sometimes miss the bigger picture. That underlying metabolic dysfunction that's actually driving all these seemingly unrelated symptoms?
Right.
Dr. Means was an ENT surgeon then, and only during surgery, when Sophia's blood sugar and blood pressure went haywire, did she realize just how deep the metabolic issues ran.
Oh, wow.
It was a turning point that led her to explore these intricate connections within the body.
It makes you wonder, if you're listening right now, have you been chalking up, weird symptoms to just being tired? Or assuming it's normal? Could be bad energy, messing with things behind the scenes.
It very well could.
And speaking of things working behind the scenes, let's talk about those little energy factories inside us, mitochondria.
Oh, yeah. They're kind of a big deal, right?
Mitochondria are the unsung heroes of our cells. Think of them like those power plants we were talking about, generating the energy that keeps everything running.
Okay.
In this case, the energy is ATP, the fuel that powers every single process in our body. And good energy really drives home how crucial healthy mitochondria are for overall well-being.
Okay, so we've got trillions of these tiny power plants humming away inside us, turning the food we eat and the air we breathe into energy we can use.
It's pretty amazing.
But it's more than just keeping the lights on, right? Mitochondrial function impacts our mood, our brain power, even our immune system, and how long we live.
You got it.
And that's where the social animal comes in. Even though it doesn't directly talk about mitochondria, it dives into how complex our brains are, how even simple actions like grabbing a peanut involve an insanely intricate network of neurons firing all over the place.
I never thought about that.
It really highlights just how interconnected our systems are, including those trillions of mitochondria powering those neurons.
Yeah.
And this is where we hit a bit of a wall, the metabolic dysfunction epidemic. Remember that 93% we talked about before?
Yeah, it's not like that number's some random fluke, right?
No, not at all.
Dr. Means lays out some hard-hitting stats in the book. 74% of Americans are overweight or obese. 50 million have autoimmune diseases, and a quarter of young adults are walking around with fatty liver disease.
It's a scary thought.
This isn't just getting older. This is a full-blown crisis, isn't it?
It is. And Both good energy and the social animal show how this crisis comes down to bad energy at the cellular level. Dr. Means connects this dysfunction to a whole host of chronic diseases. But what's interesting is how the social animal digs into how our choices, and those choices are often driven by unconscious habits and social factors, actually contribute to this dysfunction.
Like how our environment, our upbringing, our social circles, they all play a part in our metabolic health, whether we realize it or not.
Yeah.
The social animal brings up Annette Lareau's research, showing these huge differences in child-rearing practices across socioeconomic classes. And it directly affects the food choices people make, how their meals are structured, the whole 9 yards.
Absolutely.
It makes you wonder, are you part of that lucky 6.8% of metabolically healthy Americans?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It really is.
And this is where things get empowering. Understanding how these factors influence us lets us make more conscious choices for ourselves.
Right.
But first, we need to understand the culprits behind this metabolic mayhem. And a big one, as both books point out, is our modern lifestyle.
Our modern lifestyle. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, let's start with the obvious diet.
Okay.
Dr. Means doesn't hold back in good energy, pointing the finger straight at the typical modern diet loaded with processed foods, refined sugars, and those industrial seed oils lurking everywhere. It's like we're unknowingly fueling that bad energy with every bite.
So what are some of the things she calls out in good energy specifically?
She advocates for a complete overhaul.
Okay.
A shift towards a whole foods approach.
Gotcha.
Think colorful plates filled with veggies and fruits, healthy fats from avocados and olive oil, and protein from sources like wild-caught fish and grass-fed meats.
Makes sense.
It's about ditching those packaged, processed frankenfoods, as she calls them, and embracing nature's bounty.
Okay.
What surprised me was her stance on grains, even whole grains. She argues they're not as nutrient-packed compared to other options like veggies, fruits, and healthy fats.
That is interesting. She's all about maximizing nutrients in every bite. But what about those times when willpower just crumbles and you reach for the chips or that sugary treat? The social animal had some interesting points about that, right?
Absolutely. It delves into how food marketing preys on our deepest cravings, making those processed goodies almost impossible to resist.
Yeah.
It's like they're tapping into our brain's hot networks.
Okay.
Those impulsive emotional parts, making it harder to stick with those cool, rational choices we know are better for us.
It's like we're in a constant battle with temptation. But good energy doesn't just leave us hanging there.
No, it doesn't.
Dr. Means offers some really practical strategies for, how to kind of shift toward that good energy way of eating. What are some of the things she suggests people can do?
One of the things Dr. Means emphasizes is the importance of stocking your pantry and fridge with what she calls good energy staples.
Okay.
Think organic fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds for healthy fats, and good quality cooking oils. She's a big believer in meal prepping and planning ahead so that when you're hungry, you're not tempted to grab something quick and processed.
It's about setting yourself up for success, right? It's making those healthy choices the easy choices.
Yeah.
But it's not just about what we eat, right? She also talks about when we eat.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Like she's a fan of time-restricted feeding or what they call TRF, where you basically condense your eating window each day.
That's right.
So can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. TRF involves limiting your eating to a specific window, usually between 8 and 12 hours.
Okay.
So you might eat from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., for example.
Right.
And fast for the remaining 16 hours.
Gotcha.
This gives your digestive system a break and allows your body to focus on other important processes like cellular repair and energy production.
So it's like a cellular reset button, giving those little power plants a chance to recharge.
Exactly.
And while we're talking about recharging, let's not forget about the power of movement.
Movement is key. Dr. Means emphasizes that exercise isn't just about burning calories or building muscle. It's a powerful tool for boosting your metabolic health.
Right. It's like hitting the gym for your cells.
Exactly.
So how does exercise actually benefit our metabolism according to good energy?
She explains that exercise does a lot of good things for our cells.
Okay.
It improves insulin sensitivity, meaning our cells use glucose more efficiently.
Gotcha.
It also boosts mitochondrial function, making those energy powerhouses work even better.
Wow.
And here's a cool fact. Exercise actually promotes the growth of new brain cells.
So exercise really is a miracle drug.
I know, right?
But what if you're, not exactly a gym rat?
Yeah.
Does Dr. Means have any suggestions for people who aren't, into those intense workouts or anything like that?
She's all about finding activities you enjoy,
Oh, okay.
whether it's dancing, swimming, hiking, or just taking a brisk walk in the park.
Yeah,
The key is to find something you can stick with, and that brings you joy.
right. And that's a big one.
She also points out that you don't need to spend hours at the gym to reap the benefits.
Yep.
Even short bursts of high-intensity interval training, or HIIT, can be incredibly effective for improving metabolic health.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard HIIT is really effective.
It is.
But I also like her emphasis on, just finding something you enjoy, because so often we think exercise has to be this grueling chore,
Right,
and
exactly.
it really can be something fun.
It should be fun.
Yeah.
And of course, strength training is important for building muscle mass, which in turn helps regulate blood sugar levels and boosts metabolism.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
What about, those everyday activities, like taking the stairs instead of the elevator? Do those little things actually make a difference?
They absolutely do. Dr. Means encourages incorporating movement into your daily routine as much as possible.
Okay.
Taking the stairs, walking or biking instead of driving, even just getting up and moving around every hour or so.
Uh-huh.
All those little bits add up and contribute to better metabolic health.
Love that. It's a much more approachable way to think about exercise.
It is.
But let's be honest, there's another big factor that can throw a wrench in our best efforts to stay healthy.
Oh, yeah.
Stress.
Yes.
Dr. Means dedicates a whole chapter to stress in Good Energy.
For good reason.
Yeah, and for good reason, right?
Absolutely.
Because stress is a silent killer, especially when it comes to our metabolic health.
Stress is a silent killer, especially when it comes to our metabolic health.
It triggers this whole cascade of hormonal reactions that disrupt our sleep, increase inflammation,
Right.
and even damage those precious mitochondria we were talking about before.
It's true.
So chronic stress is like this constant state of bad energy in our bodies.
You could say that.
What kind of strategies does she recommend for managing stress?
She suggests a variety of approaches like meditation, spending time in nature, and practicing deep breathing exercises.
Okay.
She even talks about simple things like taking a few minutes each day to unwind and disconnect from the constant stimulation of our modern lives.
Yeah.
Mindfulness practices can also be helpful,
Okay.
like paying attention to your senses while you eat or walk,
Uh-huh.
or simply taking a few moments to appreciate the beauty around you.
Yeah, it's about creating those pockets of calm amidst the chaos,
Exactly.
even if it's just for a few minutes each day.
Exactly.
And speaking of calm and recharging, let's talk about sleep.
Oh, yes, sleep.
That seems to be a recurring theme in Good Energy.
It is.
It's like she just keeps hammering this point home.
She does, and for good reason.
Yeah.
Sleep is absolutely crucial for metabolic health.
Right.
Dr. Means calls it the metabolic reset button, emphasizing how vital it is for restoring and rejuvenating our cells.
She recommends like a solid 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep each night, right?
Yes, she does.
What about, those late nights or those days when our sleep schedule gets thrown off?
Consistency is key.
Okay.
She stresses the importance of going to bed and waking up around the same time each day, even on weekends, to regulate your circadian rhythm.
Wow, I never thought about that.
It's important.
Yeah.
She even talks about how even a small difference in weekday and weekend sleep schedules, what's known as social jet lag, can double the risk of metabolic disease.
So those late Saturday night parties might be doing more harm than good.
It's possible, yes.
But let's be real, life happens, What if you've been neglecting sleep for years? Is it too late to make a change?
It's never too late. Our bodies are remarkably adaptable.
Okay, that's good to know.
And even making small adjustments to your sleep habits can have a big impact on your metabolic health.
Gotcha.
And remember, it's not just about quantity. It's also about quality. Making sure you're getting enough deep, restorative sleep is essential for reaping those metabolic benefits.
So we've covered diet, movement, stress management, and sleep, all these crucial pillars for good energy.
The foundations.
But Dr. Means also delves into this more, nuanced area of the world of micronutrients.
Oh, yes, those tiny but mighty nutrients.
Right, so can you kind of just explain what those are and why they matter?
Sure. Micronutrients are those vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants that play a vital role in how our cells function,
Okay.
including energy production, detoxification, and protection against damage.
It sounds like they're the unsung heroes of cellular health.
They really are.
Does Good Energy highlight any specific micronutrients that are particularly important for metabolic health?
Yes. She emphasizes the importance of getting enough vitamin D, magnesium, zinc, and omega-3 fatty acids.
Okay.
She suggests trying to get these from whole food sources as much as possible,
Right.
but also acknowledges that sometimes supplementation might be necessary to address deficiencies.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
We can't always get everything we need from food alone, especially with the demands of modern life.
Right, exactly.
But I know there are tons of supplements out there.
So many.
How do you know which ones are worth taking?
That's a great question. Dr. Means stresses the importance of choosing high-quality supplements from reputable brands. She provides a helpful chart in the book outlining the good energy benefits of these essential nutrients and the best food sources to get them from.
It's like a cheat sheet for optimizing your nutrient intake.
Exactly.
I love how she provides, those practical tools to make it easier to put these principles into action.
Me too.
But with all this talk about optimizing, I think it's important to remember that we're all different, right?
Oh, absolutely.
What works for one person might not work for another.
That's where Dr. Means' concept of bioindividuality comes in.
Okay.
She encourages people to experiment and find what works best for their unique body and lifestyle.
Gotcha.
She's a big advocate for using real-time data to personalize your approach to metabolic health.
Yeah, it's like becoming your own health detective.
Exactly.
So what are some of the tools she recommends using to, track your progress and see what's working for you?
She's a fan of continuous glucose monitors, or CGMs,
Okay.
which allow you to track your blood sugar levels throughout the day.
So you can actually see how your body's reacting in real time.
Exactly. She also recommends sleep trackers to monitor your sleep patterns and heart rate variability, or HRV monitors to assess your stress levels and recovery.
So instead of relying on generic advice,
Yeah.
you can actually see how your body responds to different foods, activities, and even stress.
You become an expert on your own body.
It's like taking control of your health destiny, and
Okay.
that's really empowering.
It is. And this data empowers you to make informed choices and adjust your approach as needed. She provides specific recommendations for what optimal ranges look like for each of these metrics,
Okay.
helping you interpret the data and make those adjustments.
Gotcha.
But it's not just about the numbers. She also emphasizes the importance of tuning into your body and listening to its signals.
Right. It's about noticing how you feel,
Yes.
paying attention to changes in your energy levels, mood, sleep, digestion,
Uh-huh.
using that internal feedback to guide your choices.
Right.
And this is where the social animal brings in another layer of insight, doesn't it?
Absolutely. While good energy focuses on the individual,
Yeah.
the social animal widens the lens to look at how our environment and social connections play a role in our health,
Right.
including our metabolic health.
It's about recognizing that we're not just isolated individuals making choices in a vacuum.
Right.
We're influenced by our families, our communities,
Uh-huh.
and the larger social structures we're part of.
It's all connected.
And this can sometimes make those good energy choices a lot harder, right?
That's right. The social animal talks about these unconscious biases we all have,
Okay.
those ingrained beliefs and assumptions that can lead to unhealthy choices.
Yeah, it makes you realize just how much our environment and the people around us can shape our choices, even on a subconscious level.
It really does.
But recognizing those biases, becoming aware of those influences,
Right.
that's a huge step towards making more conscious decisions for ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the social animal doesn't just highlight the challenges.
Yeah.
It also points to the power of social connection as a force for positive change. We're wired for connection.
Right.
And those positive relationships can be incredibly powerful in supporting our overall well-being.
It's like we can create these little pockets of good energy in our social circles where healthy habits are celebrated and supported.
Exactly.
But it's not always easy to, change those ingrained patterns and habits, especially when we're constantly bombarded with messages that contradict those good energy choices.
Yeah, that's where the power of storytelling comes in. The social animal dives into how the narratives we tell ourselves, those stories we believe about ourselves and the world, can either help or hinder our progress.
Oh, interesting.
If we're stuck in a narrative of I'll never be healthy or I'm just not good at making healthy choices, those beliefs can become self-fulfilling prophecies.
It's like we're trapped in this loop, repeating the same patterns over and over. But if we can shift that narrative, if we can start telling ourselves a different story, that's where real change begins.
Exactly. And those new narratives don't have to be these grand, sweeping epics. Sometimes it's just about those small, everyday wins. Celebrating those moments when you choose a salad over fries, or You get up and move your body even when you don't feel like it, or you prioritize a good night's sleep over staying up late. Those small wins add up and help build a new, more empowering story.
It's like we're rewriting the script of our lives, one healthy choice at a time.
I love that analogy.
But what about those times when we fall short, when we slip back into old habits, or make choices that don't support good energy?
It's important to remember that setbacks are a normal part of the process.
Right.
Nobody's perfect, and we're all going to have days where we don't make the best choices. The key is to approach those setbacks with self-compassion, learn from them, and keep moving forward.
Yeah, it's like those times when you're learning a new skill, you're going to stumble, you're going to make mistakes, but that's how you get better. And it's the same with cultivating good energy. It's a journey, not a destination.
That's such a great way to put it. And while we've been focusing a lot on individual choices and habits, the social animal reminds us that we're all part of a larger system.
Right.
And sometimes those good energy choices are made harder or even impossible by factors outside of our control. Think about those food deserts we talked about earlier, or the lack of access to affordable health care for some communities.
It's like we're all playing a game, but some people start off with a huge disadvantage. And that's where systemic change comes in. We need to address those social and economic factors that contribute to bad energy and make it harder for people to live healthy lives.
Absolutely. And while those systemic changes are crucial, the social animal also highlights the power of individual actions. Each time we make a choice that supports good energy, we're not just improving our own health, we're also sending a ripple effect out into the world.
It's like those times when you see someone making a healthy choice and it inspires you to do the same. Or when you share your own health journey with someone and it gives them the courage to make a change in their own life.
Those individual actions can have a profound impact, both on those around us and on the larger culture. It's about shifting from a mindset of, I have to do this for myself, to, we can do this together.
That's really powerful. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I think it's important to remember that good energy is more than just like a trendy term. It's a way of life, a commitment to making choices that nourish our bodies, minds, and spirits. And it's a journey that we can embark on together, supporting and inspiring each other along the way.
Well said. And remember, the knowledge you've gained from these sources is just the starting point. Now it's time to take that knowledge and put it into action, creating your own unique path towards a life filled with good energy.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you've gleaned some valuable insights and feel empowered to embark on your own exploration of metabolic health. Remember, every step you take towards good energy is a step towards a healthier, happier, more fulfilling life.